The biggest thing that a lot of us actually here say is, you got to start somewhere.
Yep.
Start somewhere, and you kind of learn from there. And I feel like that's it's almost like a rite of passage. You're not really a car enthusiast unless you can look back and be like, you don't cringe at it. So
Yeah, zoom in. Let's see, folks. Did Rocky hit the lottery?
I think it did.
Yeah. Welcome to Ignition Therapy. Today's guest is a true staple in the local car community. Whether that's a late night meet, a track day, a car show, you're bound to run into him. Not only does he live and breathe cars, but he works on them daily, helping enthusiasts bring their builds to life. You've probably seen his Infiniti, recognize his signature hairstyle, or just know him as one of the friendliest guys in the scene. He's a motorsports enthusiast, installer, and an all-around car guy. Please welcome Tyler Cha.
Hey guys, how's it going?
All right. So the first, and we talked about this over lunch, but I was just kind of curious about everybody, kind of where you grew up, and how did you first get into cars?
Yeah. So funny enough, I grew up around the Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park area. I was born in Richfield, and then my parents moved to Minneapolis. But I grew up in a pretty standard household. So mom, dad, and funny enough, I didn't actually grow up with brothers. So all sisters. I grew to love family. That was all that I had. So funny enough, my mom and dad, they were actually into cars way before I was even born, and so I was actually born into like this car family, and that's kind of how it started. My dad had a Integra DC2. My mom had a slammed O2 Accord, and kind of just did her thing. And they brought me to these car shows back when Rock Falls was a big thing. I used to go to Rock Falls, see a lot of my dad's friends, which, I actually now service all of their, daily commuter cars now.
They're like, I used to change your diapers. Now you're changing my oil.
yeah. So it's definitely a cool change, but definitely blessed to be a part of this family and kind of, get everything kind of, everything comes together. That's kind of what I say.
Right.
Things happen for a reason. So something that I always felt like I had within me was the need to rebel, right? So my parents, they were always into cars, and I tell the story to everybody. I was actually a music major before I got into cars. I wanted to pursue music. Music is some of the most core values that I hold today. Involved me being in a choir. A lot of altruism. Teamwork. The real passion for the nitty gritty, and so. I wanted to be a music major, and up until my senior year of high school, I was shooting straight to that. I wanted to pursue music. I wanted to go to Concordia Moorhead, be a part of their choral program, and be in their choir, because for 3.5 years, I was so set on being into music. But then I had this talk with my dad, and he asked me, "Do you think choir is going to pay the bills?" And so I thought to myself, and I was like, man, this is game changing, So I looked at what I could do. Initially, I actually wanted to be a welder, so I looked into the welding program at Dunwoody, and they had a lot of cool programs, and then I started looking into like TIG welding, and then because TIG weldings, they have the real like beautiful multicolored clean welds. But then that was kind of when my dad started bringing me out to these car meets, and so this car show back in 2017, Ignition. I remember it. It was Ignition at Canterbury in Shakti. I remember my dad had brought in his good friends, Joe De Leon, shout out to Mr. Joe, and then Jordan Ho. Jordan drives an RX-7 Veilside. It's the 7 Dragon, if you guys remember that. And then Joe, I mean, Joe De Leon, who doesn't know him? He's a cool guy. I love him. But yeah, they introduced me into the scene, and started me get into cars, and now here I am, 4 or 5 years later, got into it, and then now I'm really in the thick of it. So super lucky, super blessed to have these people around me.
Awesome. I noticed three things that we have in common. Okay, music, the conversation about money, and the passion with our parents, and also that you had some sort of connection to Moorhead. Sorry, you wanted to go there. So for me, my parents, when they emigrated here, ended up in Fargo, North Dakota. So that's where I was born, right off the airplane. But we lived in that area, Fargo, Moorhead. Second, when my dad asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, like when I was a senior, I said, you know what, it doesn't matter, Dad, as long as I'm happy.
Right.
And he goes, really? And he goes, how much money do you have right now? And I go, whatever I had in my bank account as a teen. And I go, I had nothing. And he goes, how do you feel? I go, not really good. And from that moment on, that changed my entire perspective. Like you talked about going into thinking about something that was a skill set, right? Completely changed. And then music is something I did played saxophone growing up, but I did not like it. I was kind of forced to do it, but I still did it. But it was interesting that we had three of those things off the bat. But yeah, thanks for sharing the story about that.
Of course.
Appreciate that. We've met up a few times out in the scene, whatever, and we've kind of picked up on at least a couple of things, right? I know that your family immigrated here at some point. So I'd love to hear from your perspective. I'm Eritrean, so I know you're Hmong, and I was just kind of curious how your family ended up here in Minnesota once. I know there's like hot spots, right, all over, especially with Eritreans, like around the United States where we end up, but just kind of, how they ended up here and then how that influenced maybe your journey as well. So.
Yeah, so my dad is originally from Laos. And so he immigrated here during the 60s, 70s. And so back when a lot of people actually don't know, but there's this war called the Secret War, and the CIA actually enlisted a lot of villagers within like these, like Laos, Thailand, Vietnam. They enlisted a lot of villagers to help them because they knew the layout of the land, and so this was I would say like jungle warfare.
Okay.
And so, back when all this was happening, my grandpa from my dad's side, and so was my mom's dad, my grandpa on my mom's side, they both fought in the Secret War.
Yeah.
And so during all of this, there was this General Vang Pao. He was able to bring some of our people over, and so. My mom's side of the family, which my mom wasn't born yet. My mom was actually born in Illinois, and she was born there, and my dad was born in Laos, and so funny enough, they both ended up moving to Fresno. So Fresno, California, was where they met, and they moved there, they met there, and so they finally ended up coming back to Minnesota, and that's kind of how it originated. They had some, detours. They lived in Lansing, Michigan for a while with my auntie and my uncle. But, things ended up falling in place, and now we're here. Right. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
I know over lunch, you told me about a few cars that you've had, but I was curious which one was your first car and the story behind it.
So my first car it wasn't actually my car. So it was a car that
it never is, man. I drove my mom's car. My mom's '96 Corolla everywhere.
Yeah. It was actually a 2003 Honda Odyssey. It was a minivan.
I did not know how many people hated the Odyssey. Have you seen Wolverine and Deadpool?
Yep.
Deadpool and Wolverine. Is Odyssey the one that they hated?
I think it was the Odyssey.
Anyways,
or the Sienna. I don't know.
Go for it. Yeah.
So I drove the Odyssey for a long time, and then what's it called? My dad actually got in touch with John, and what is it? They were able to. My dad actually bought a Honda Civic from John, and it was I think it was like $800.
Wow.
$800, and so I paid $800, and I was under my mom and dad's policy, but that was my first real manual car.
Yeah.
I was.
How old are you?
I was 18. I was 18 when I got
perfect.
the Civic, and so being young and dumb, I started doing all these crazy things. I drilled a hole right before my muffler, so that way the noise can be a little louder.
Yep.
And so I was like, man, this ain't loud enough. So I took a I think it was like a circular like hole saw. So I sawed like a 3/4 inch hole right before my muffler, and so I had an exhaust leak. But being 18, that was your first manu car. You start doing some crazy stuff to it.
Right.
But yeah,
Everybody's got that one thing they did that they look back on now, right?
Yeah,
And
you
they're
kind of
like,
cringe back at it. Yeah.
when you see somebody that was that 18 or 19 out there with
Mm-hmm.
the similar setup that you had, right, or a similar car,
Yeah.
and they're doing those things, it brings back those memories. Or what do you think? Kind of like you're like, that was me once. I tried that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the biggest thing that a lot of us actually here say is, you got to start somewhere.
Yep.
Start somewhere, and you kind of learn from there. And I feel like that's it's almost like a rite of passage. You're not really a car enthusiast unless you can look back and be like, you don't cringe at it. So.
I love that.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Sometimes when people come up to me and they ask me, what should I do to my car? I always try to tell them like, okay, avoid doing this because this is what I did. But they do it anyway sometimes. But sometimes it just comes down to you got to have the experience.
Yeah.
You got to, like you said, it's a badge of honor, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. What color was that Civic? I'm just curious.
It was black. It was black. It was so for my Honda guys out there, it was actually B92P, which is Nighthawk Black Pearl. And it was a beautiful black. And you'll see a trend within my cars. I love pearlescent colors with a dark shade. So this car behind me is actually Malbec Black, and it's a black with like a pearlescent like purple. So in the sunlight, it's purple. But yeah, that's always been my thing. That Honda Civic, I had a 6-inch orbital from AutoZone that I put on like some mothers, and paint corrected it in my grandma's driveway, and I thought that was the most fire paint job ever. But yeah, it was awesome, man.
I love it, man. I love that story because you strike me as like a true enthusiast. Whether it's your build, whether you just like the cars, you do the work yourself, you do the work yourself, kind of all around. What's the proudest moment you've had as a car enthusiast, would you say?
Oh man, so I think the most proudest moment that I've had was actually, it had to be Modest 2023. So Modest 2023 was a crazy year for me. It was the first real year that I had ever since moving back to Minnesota, which was 2022. And so I moved back fall 2022, and then from 23 to now, that's kind of been my thing. But yeah, Modest 2023, I've been working through the whole winter, from fall of 22 all the way up until July, which was Modest. I've been hard at work, trying to make a name for myself. And I think the most proudest thing was seeing how happy people that I've worked on, their cars are. They bring their car, and they show it off to clean it up, make it look super clean. And a lot of the builds I do are the suspension and engine jobs. So a lot of people know me as the airlift guy, and I think the pinnacle moment was seeing 4 or 5 of my cars I worked on parked next to each other, and all 4 of them they won trophies, and to me that was just so hard work pays off kind of moment. So yeah, super proud. And my thing is I like to serve the community. I wouldn't be here without any of my customers, and without any of you guys. So
I think I'm gonna start calling you Air Cha. It's like Air Jordan, but you're like Air Cha. Right?
Yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah, a couple of my friends in the community that I've met over the past couple of years, at least, I noticed you've done theirs rise as well. So it's pretty cool. I was curious. I know you've been back and forth to Arizona. We've talked about. So I wasn't sure if you were there. You got to check out the car scene. I'm guessing, you were gonna.
Yeah.
So I was just curious. Have you traveled to other cities for car events or motorsports activities? If so, where have you been?
Yeah. So, oh man. So Arizona is huge. The community down there is probably 3 to 4 times the size as the Midwest, should I say. And so there are a lot of cliques, there are a lot of groups, there are a lot of track events, group club events. And so 2021 was the year that, because I moved down there in 2020. And so 2021 was kind of the year that I went down there and, kind of like really explored. And I remember I had just visited here for the New Year's in 2020. So I stayed over and then I came back January 2021, and I was hyped. Back then I still had my matte black, unpainted bumper on my Civic, and I only had a rear Mugen diffuser, so I needed the side skirts, the lip. I needed to paint my front bumper. So I remember I did that, and then finally I was able to get out. And so that I realized the true sheer size of Arizona. There are like 6 events that are like, brand name car shows, meets going on at the same time almost every single weekend. Arizona is it's a big state with a community that supports it. I think it's very interesting because you can see a lot of say the Nissan guys. They roll 100 to 150 deep sometimes.
Wow.
They would take up full sections of car shows, and 70, 80, 90 cars are all they're all different. I think down there the lack of snow and the horrible roads definitely do make a difference.
Yeah.
I think every car is tricked down there.
They don't have to worry about rust or anything.
Yeah, you don't gotta worry about anything. If anything, the only thing they have to worry about is the sun fade. But
that's true.
Yeah, sun fade is a big thing down there, and you'll see a lot of cars with sun fade. But I would rather take sun fade over than rust.
Right.
All day. But yeah, car community down there is way different. I did a lot of shows and meets. I used to go down to Estrella Parkway, I think. Me and my friends, we used to hang out at the Dutch parking lot till 3 or 4 in the morning. But yeah, we would just be hanging out, doing car stuff. I remember I did some axles on my boy's, I think ES350, because he was a static guy too. So he was a static guy, and he had front axles that were bent this way, and so he rolled into the car meet with his axles clicking. He left with them the joints disconnected. So yeah, so we literally did his axles right there. The AutoZone was right next to the parking lot, and yeah, he went and bought axles, jacked it up. And we were doing it in front of the car community, and people were asking for help, and it was such a good time. Arizona, I would say, is super cool community, but it is big, man. It is huge.
It's here, it kind of seems like most people know everybody, or at least you're 1 or 2 people removed. But over there, is it just I've never seen this car or you in my life?
Dude, there are so down there actually there's this event called Barrett-Jackson, and I'm sure a lot of people know, man, Barrett-Jackson is crazy. But there are a lot of cars that are contenders for Barrett-Jackson. So I'm more into the JDM scene, so there are a lot of JDM cars that are they're stored away, but when they come out, man, you're man, I've been here for 2 years and I haven't seen this car, and I go out to these events almost every weekend, but yeah, Arizona, definitely there are cars that come out and you haven't even seen at all, and they've been yeah, I've been living here 20, 25 years of my life. So
I bought this JDM car 40 years ago. It still has no rust on it.
Yeah, and I'm just where have you been? Yeah, but
that's awesome. Any other cities or places you've been to where you've seen this, or?
Yeah, so my family lived in Surprise, and it's more new developed, but all the parties happened in Tempe, Scottsdale. I like to go to the pavilions at Talking Stick. Pavilions is I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they say the Pavilion is actually the oldest car meet / show in the country, I think.
Wow. Well, yeah. I can't correct you, but people in the comments below, when they see this,
maybe
let us know.
Yeah. Awesome. I used to go to Pavilions, and man, the scenery there is so cool. If you guys know the Japanese Daikoku ramp, where the ramp comes around and people come and they park. Yeah, it's such a good place to be, but Tempe's more it's more suburbish area, but still very upscale, downtown kind of.
Very cool.
And that's kind of a lot of the cities in Arizona is you're not really in a city class. It's more just a culmination of different cities kind of mixing and amalgamating almost. So
Nice. Very
yeah.
cool.
Arizona is very cliquey. That was my one thing, was that there are some times where I would go to these events and people would give me they would mean mug me, or they would give me RBF, and it was just a matter of me coming up to them and asking about their car and whatnot. But or the other way around. But I feel like if you're not a local, that can definitely off put you. Like that. If you're not too extroverted, I could see someone being a little introverted and them thinking oh, I don't belong here, but yeah, that I feel like that's probably the only thing is, Arizona is very cliquey. They have a lot of groups and they're very exclusive, but I feel like it's for good reason, because there are a lot of people down there. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like if there was one thing that I could call it's that, but otherwise Arizona is awesome. Scenery almost all the time is beautiful. A lot of people, they talk about the cotton candy sunset skies and palm trees. Who doesn't love palm trees?
Nice.
And then over there, it's not too hilly, but you can see the mountains. So scenery is just amazing. But
Awesome. That's awesome. Cool. I noticed there's a sticker on your windshield.
Mm-hmm.
I know in our culture we kind of rep our sets, right, or our clubs, or our groups, or whatever that we have. I was just curious. I can't see what it is. I was just curious if you belong to a specific car crew, or if you just kind of prefer just to kind of roll with no affiliation, or it's just I'm just friends with everybody or love everybody. So
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like as someone who is, JWP has a decent following. We're still a small fish in a big ocean. I feel like I try not to belong to a certain group, but I love my people. I love the community, and like I said, I like to serve them. So any way that I can to kind of help expose certain groups. One of the biggest stickers I have on my car is Minnesota Qs, and that's the Minnesota Q50 group, and so and then the bigger stickers are just my shopping list on my rear windshield, and then JWP Automotive, and then all the small decals. That's kind of my style. I've always been a sticker decal kind of guy, so a lot of people, they're like, man, this car would be so much cleaner without it, or man, this why do you have to have that? It kind of breaks up the whole color scheme. But I think Q50s, they do have a notorious vibe about them, especially now. And I feel like if I'm able to kind of differentiate myself from that, then that is all the difference. But yeah, I try not to belong to one group or two or three, but I really at the heart of it, I'm an enthusiast. So I like to be out there and meet all my people and groups and whatnot.
I see you at all of them. Like last Friday, I saw you at the Minnesota Toyota Lexus one, and then we're at a summer. What's the one on Tuesdays that they have at Battle Creek?
Hot sauce
Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Just whatever it is, we're just out there having a good time.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Every year, especially when we were kids growing up, there was that new cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering whether it was oh, this year was Pogs. You're I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is?
Pogs?
No. Okay, let me change it. Pokemon cards, right?
Oh, yeah.
There was one thing where it was Pokemon cards, right?
Yep.
Or Yu-Gi-Oh! One year. But in the car culture, I'm still trying to figure out what that thing is. Do we have a new thing every year or every other year? So I'm trying to figure out what you think that is.
I don't know.
Last year, what was it? And then maybe what is it this year? I don't know. It might be a hard question to answer, but
I don't know. I feel like that's why I'm so attracted to cars and the automotive scene, is because it's always changing. I wouldn't say changing, but it's always evolving. Whether it be good or bad, it's always evolving, and it's never something stagnant. Things that happened last year can happen this year, or it can happen next year. But the fact of the matter is, it will never happen the same way. So they always say history repeats itself. So I see wide bodies coming back into the game, because Back then, my dad actually had some fenders that he put on, and back in the day, you know, like I always liked the exposed hardware look, but you know, some people they might disagree to it, but I always liked it. You know, it breaks the body line up, especially if it's a darker car, which that car was black. So, I mean, that kind of, you know, it gets lost in the light. But yeah, I feel like those are coming back, and like the LEDs are kind of, you know, underglows. That's kind of doing this thing again. But I feel like for the most part, like there are certain things that become a trend and they never come back until the weirdest times. Like I don't know. I feel like I'm predicting the next 2 years, chassis mount wings and plastic dip's going to come back. You know that's a good callback to 2016, 2012 to 2016.
I have a closet full of plastic dip
Yeah.
cans, like half used.
Yeah, and honestly, like I love plastic dip, but you know, I guess I myself would never do it because that's I don't know. It's a trend that kind of died off for a good reason. So
It was something that was supposed to be like convenient and easy to use, and then
Yeah.
quality wise maybe not so great. But
yeah,
I
exactly.
can see that.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. You work with some incredible cars daily. Last time I was in here, I saw some GTRs. I think I saw one that was like a R34, like a few $100,000 one.
Yeah.
NSX, obviously, there's the latest gen behind you. To my right, there's the first gen, I think.
Shop one.
And a lot of unique builds. I think I even saw it was like what was that Buick called? The
Grand National.
The Grand National,
Yeah.
right? I saw one of those in here. So, how did you get into this industry, just in general? I know you said you had a family background, but
yeah, it was something that, contrary to popular belief, I had to work very hard for. I had to put in a lot of time, a lot of effort into trying to, I guess, make a name for myself. You know, a lot of people they think the end goal is to work on cool cars, but at the end of the day, I mean, you know, you have to have some sort of, you know, other goal for it. You know, working on cool cars, I mean, you could do that in your garage. You could do that any day, anywhere. But being deeply rooted into a community while still being able to serve them, that is something way more articulable than, you know, working on cool cars, in my opinion. And I feel like I wouldn't be able to get there without my dad, first and foremost, my mom, and John and Paige, my mom, my dad. Those four have, you know, supported me all the way. You know, they did everything they could to kind of, you know, help me get to where I am. And, you know, but, you know, that doesn't change the fact that it's me alone underneath that car with the oil dripping on my face, you know, trying to get this car out, you know. So it took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of time. I know I definitely didn't end here. This wasn't my first destination, and I wouldn't say this wasn't actually my goal either. I started out working. So actually, I was working with my dad on his cars, you know, and that's how we all start. You know, your dad has a cool car, you work with him, you tinker but in the garage, and then you know, somehow, some way, you find yourself in a you know, corporate shop. And you know, my corporate shop was Discount Tire. Discount Tire taught me a lot of, you know, hardworking like values, and kind of set me up to have a good like a decent work ethic. You know, all my coworkers would say that
Right.
you know, I like to slack, but you know, at the end of the day, I like to get stuff done. And honestly, I wouldn't be able to do that without having those, you know, background core values. So Discount Tire was kind of my thing. And then when I moved to, actually, so I was at Discount Tire for about 2 years, and then I was a manager there. You know, sold tires, kind of did my thing, and then after that, John actually posted up an ad, and John put up an ad and kind of asked, you know, hey, we're looking for some you know, hands, you know, some light duty techs, loop techs, and so, you know, at this point, like, I couldn't even do brakes yet, and this was 2020, you know, so I was like, man, like, you know, the thought of doing brake pads kind of like scared me, because I was like, man, like, I don't know like what to do exactly. But you know, John took me under his wing and kind of taught me everything. And you know, I went and read like a lot of the ASC books, but being at budget for that time was only short. It was short lived. I would say it was from June to like October of the year 2020, and then I moved down to Arizona, and I did semi trucks for a while. I was at a yard, like a scrap yard, doing like radiators like this big. I had to have two people help me put in a radiator. It was huge, and I did that for a while. My final straw of realizing that wasn't for me was doing rear drums on a semi truck. I
Just
literally
regular drums for me. I don't even
yeah,
want
like the drums are like this big, and they weigh like 200, 300 pounds.
So what do you got to hit it with? Like another truck? Like I know. I
Yeah,
was trying
like
to get them off.
we had to use a 3/4 like gun to take the lug nuts off. So it was crazy. But yeah, I did that for a while, and then I was able to score an opportunity with Element Wheels in Arizona, and that taught me a lot. I was with them for about 2.5 years until I moved back to Arizona, or moved back to Minnesota, and I pretty much did wheels and tires, and it was super high scale. For about a year and a half, I did wheels and tires, 15 sets of wheels a day. I did Forgiatos, did work wheels, weds, a lot of off-road tires, 35s, 40s. I did 20 sidewall tires on a donk. That was just crazy. We had a lot of like different wheels come in, and I learned a lot, gained a lot of experience in it. For the other year that I was there, I did the installs. So exhaust, that was where I started learning how to do bags, a lot of suspension stuff, and I learned a lot being at Element. And then but I knew that I wanted to move back home, which is Minnesota. And so fall of 2022, that was kind of when I moved back. But yeah,
Nice.
that was kind of how things started, and now here I am.
Yep.
It's a crazy world.
Yep, sure is.
Crazy life.
It's crazy how you get to where you're going.
Yeah, exactly.
But I know earlier you mentioned like somebody taking you under their wing.
Yeah.
And I feel like the people who are like really good at what they do, or have the opportunities, really, a lot of times, that's happened to me.
Yeah.
Somebody took a shot at me in the IT world in project management.
Right.
I didn't go to school for that. I was a marketing guy.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that you had that experience as well, and it shows that support you have, and people believe in you. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I love John. John has supported me all the way through. So is my dad. That I wouldn't be here without those two old heads.
So we talked about some of the installations you do, but what's your favorite type of motorsports installation?
Like motorsports, or
yeah, just in general. Like, what's your favorite thing to work on? Or get done, like whatever, just in general. Like, what do you like to see?
I feel like, and I don't know. I guess jokes write themselves, but I love doing airlifts. It's always something different. There are different people, and that's kind of the cool thing about being in a custom automotive scene where people, they change things up. Everything's custom. I feel like being able to do a setup with 2 pumps and a 5-gallon tank, and then having to reroute lines, the opposite way. To me, I love challenges. I love feeling like I have to think hard for this, and because I guess in my mind the payout is it's so rewarding. My thing is, like I said earlier, I love seeing walking people back here, opening up the trunk, and they're like, oh, like they're just mind blown, and I love that feeling. That's what makes it all worth it. So I feel like anything that can really give me that rewarding factor, beneficiary from that's kind of my thing. But I guess I just taken a liking to airlift because that's just, I guess I had a knack for it. I had a knack for it, and I figured, I'm kind of decent at it, so why not make it a thing. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So when folks come in, because personally, I'm going to be doing some suspension stuff.
Okay.
At some point this year, I don't know when. But so I'm doing my little research on my own, right? And I want to know a little bit before I come to talk to somebody about it, because I don't want to, But I'm also on forums and asking friends, and they're like, get this, get that, right?
Yeah.
But like when it comes to somebody walking through this door and they're checking out like what you got going on, like how do you consult that person, like to figure out what they really want, right? Or what they really want, right? I know their budget's got to have something to do with what they're looking for, but is there anything that you can give somebody a heads up on, like me? Everybody's saying get BC Racing coilovers, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, there's like one option for that. I can't go wrong, right? I think.
Yeah.
Or there's another option where I can keep the AVS option on my Lexus IS350F Sport, right?
Yeah.
Do I want to spend an extra grand? Is it worth it? You know, those types of things. So how would you guide somebody through that process?
So I guess it's hard to say. You know, everyone's so different. But I feel like the ability to kind of read people, that's kind of what started it, you know. And I guess my question is always, what is your end goal with it? What do you want to do with this car? Do you want to have, you know, like, and we'll just go into the suspension thing. My questions are always like, do you want to track it, or do you want to have, you know, daily drivability with it?
What's the purpose? What's your purpose?
What's the purpose with it? And, you know, a lot of people, they'll say, oh yeah, I just want to be like a street car. So it's a good upgrade from OEM, but it's not too extreme where, you know, it's like the static guys that, you know, everything's bouncy, and, you know, because not a lot of people, they like that. I myself have, you know, I was a static guy, so I totally understand. You know, I was riding on washers, you know, so I totally understand from one end to the other end of the scale. But really, the consult for me is kind of, what do you want to do with the car, you know? And then the second question is always, how much are you willing to spend? Because they say in the car community, comfort always comes at a price, you know. And, you know, like that saying goes, you get what you pay for. You know, that's a very true thing in the car community, especially in the automotive scene. This more on the service side, you know. You know, we try to give customers a good price while also trying to maintain that standard level of quality. You know, even like from the service end all the way to the technician end, and then, you know, all the way up until the point where we hand the keys over. You know, we want to make sure it's a good environment,
end-to-end experience. All over.
Yeah, you know, that's kind of the thing, because, you know, not, and I guess this is a tangent, going off tangent, but a lot of like service technicians, you know, they understand, like, with quality comes time, and time is also money, you know. So that's a big thing that we have to juggle, and those three things are like some of the most, like.
You said three things?
Yeah.
It's called the triple constraints in my field.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the triple constraints. Like that is some of the hardest things to juggle, and that a lot of people, they have a better understanding it as some people. So there are customers that do come in, and you know, we kind of have to break it down a little more for them, but, you know, for the most part, you know, a lot of people that are looking to do that to the car, you know, they kind of already know, like you said, you know, they do their research, which I personally, I encourage, you know, do your research, read the forums, ask around, see what's best for you, not for your car, not what, you know, Joe Blow is saying, do this to your car. You know, what do you want from the car? You know, I encourage that 100%.
Cool.
You know, at the end of the day, you know, like I said before, I'm an enthusiast myself, so I would want what an enthusiast want from, you know, from a service. So
yep. Have you ever had a client request something like insane or questionable, where you had to say, like, look, I get what you're trying to do, but this is not a good idea? I'm just kind of curious.
Oh man, yeah. So so there are a lot of places here in Minnesota that have a certain level of quality that they want to uphold, but it seems like JWP has always been the place to kind of take cars that a lot of people don't really work on, which is why we do a lot of the old, or like way old school JDM stuff. We do all like the far left builds, like we just put an LS3 in the Chevelle, you know, full Haltech management. You know, we did, you know, whole new suspension for the car, QA1, and yeah, it's builds like that kind of put us on the spotlight. So we try not to shy away from things that are a challenge. You know, I feel like the team that I'm with right now, we're all like-minded individuals. So they love challenge. They love challenging themselves to work through a rewarding program. So yeah, I mean, if there was one thing that I could really think about, was when This so this customer brought in, I think it was, actually, I think it's this Grand National. So he wanted to put it on air. But yeah, the suspension is just so weird and so like, it's so like old school. It was just totally like out like left field, and I remember thinking to myself like, oh my god, I'm gonna hate myself having to do this. But yeah, it took us calling in Joe De Leon. He also does a lot of the airlift and suspension stuff around the community. He has his own company, Joe's Garage, that he does, and we were able to help source some labor out from him. He gave us some insight on what we could do. He's more familiar with that platform more than anybody here. So him, me, and John kind of work things out, and yeah, now cars on air, and it works amazing. So it's like these kinds of things just.
So you're saying bring it on.
Yeah.
Tell us what you're trying to do.
Bring it on.
I was curious if you had any crazy like shop stories. So for me, I just want to give you an example. It's probably not that crazy. You're gonna be like, that's nothing. But I remember when I was a kid, there was a shop in Brooklyn Park called Area 51. It was like my friends had. It was like behind a Rainbow Foods. It was like tucked away. It was kind of cool actually, right? And I remember a guy. He had a really nice color. It was like that purple, last generation Prelude, right? Really nice car. He had just got a suspension done there.
Yep.
And when he was leaving the shop, he was backing out. He backed out fast. And if he would have went straight, maybe he would have scraped a little.
Right.
But he turned and he hit the curb. And I just remember him hitting that curb and pulling right back in the shop to get that fixed again.
Oh my God.
So that was like one of the crazy things that I've seen.
Yeah.
So I was just curious if anything like that, you've seen anything like that, or what's the craziest shop story that you've seen? It can be here, anywhere, wherever.
Yeah, so I guess like all shops, we all have our fair share of incidents, but thankfully the last 2-3 years that I've been here, we haven't had anything like too crazy like that. At JWP, there's a basement, and so this basement is only one way in and one way out. So there's this running joke, or I guess this running gag that it's haunted. And so I remember this was like summer of 2023. I remember it was just me and another coworker, Morgan. Me and Morgan were here alone at like 6:30. Everyone left. He was washing his hands, and I remember I was I was in the bathroom, and so he didn't know where I was, but he knew that I was here. And this door over here was open, and so when he walked through the walkway, he heard like shuffling, like things falling down in the basement. And he thought that was me because the light was on, the door was open and everything. And usually we don't open that door unless someone's in there. And so he went down like to the very top of the stairs. And to his horror, the lights were off. The lights were off downstairs, but he heard noises, like it was going on. And so he noped out of there. He noped out of there and came back out. And then that was when I walked out at the same time, the other side of the door. And he was like, dude, I think someone's down there in the basement. And I was like, what do you mean someone? All the doors are locked. And then he was like, I don't know. So I grabbed my snap-on hammer, and he grabbed his sledgehammer. We went downstairs, ready to like roughhouse with someone. But we didn't find anybody down there. And so that was the even more scarier, And ever since then, we've had some incidents where like just like last week, Morgan heard the same thing again, and then I heard the same thing too. I was here with my cousin one day, and it was a dead of winter. I think this past December, dead of winter, had no music on. I was doing his tires, and I remember this door was open, and we heard like almost like someone running up the stairs, and it's a metal staircase, sheet metal, and we heard someone like run up the staircase, and like my face just turned white, and I was just like, I looked over at my cousin, and I was like, dude, did you hear that? And he was like I looked at him, and his face was already all white too, and he was like, yeah, but I was just gonna pretend I didn't hear that. And I was like, it was scary, man.
Dang. That's a cool story.
Yeah.
That's a cool story. It's like I don't think I was expecting to hear like the haunted.
Yeah,
potential
yeah.
hauntings. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool to hear.
Yeah, it is a very old building, but I would say if anything were to happen, it'd probably be down there.
Okay.
Yeah, but there, and I'm sure a lot of like shop like technicians know, or like people who've been in shops for long periods of time, they know. There's this theory that I saw that I thought I only experienced, but apparently people see things in the corner of their eyes, like being alone in a shop, and it's always like when you're alone, and you never see it until it's quiet. There's no music playing and no one's here but you. Yeah, and I thought I was the only one that experienced it. But
Is that just here or just in general?
like hear it or see things, see things like like I don't stay after anymore for good reason. But the
You're
days
making me nervous now. But I got goosebumps, bro. Just hearing this.
yeah, like there would be times where I need to finish a car, so I would be here till like 11 to 12, p.m. almost midnight, and
you know what I think it is? I think it's the energy from the person whose car that is, just wondering and thinking about their car.
Yeah,
I wonder
if it's gonna be done or not. Yeah. I don't know. I remember being here like just late, and I don't know. Maybe it is that.
Yeah, it's the universe.
Yeah, but I remember like hearing like shuffling footsteps or like seeing like shadows. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of like shop technicians or like just people who've been in shops, like they can understand.
If you're one of those people, comment below some of your horror stories.
Yeah, let us know
if you experienced this as well.
Please tell me I'm not alone.
If he's alone, also note that down below so we can get him some help. I know we're in the dead of winter right now.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, there's not much going on during the winter. We're just kind of waiting, right? Mm-hmm. Or I'm just kind of hanging out. We're meeting up, every once in a while. But we're not experiencing. Well, my car is my daily, so like I drive it around. But we're like, it's not nothing special. But like, we're not driving these NSXs around all day, every day, right? So for you, we're not active, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, in the wintertime, you're around this environment all the time. There's literally like 3 or 4 NSXs in here.
Yeah.
But do you still get that feeling like I can't wait till summertime? Or
God.
What is that like for you? Like I don't want to say you become desensitized to like all this, but it is your environment 24/7.
Yeah.
But like, how do you feel about like just winter living here?
So I think the biggest thing is there is that stigma, like you said, that people do get desensitized when they're in this environment, and I think that's very true. I have seen some really cool cars come in, and I see like other cars that are out there that aren't as nice as I remember them to be. But it'd be totally different cars. So then I would have the standard that like, oh damn, if these cars are here, there might be some cars out there that are like, the same, level or like at, same par. But yeah, like it's like you said, it is very real to be desensitized to your own environment. But that being said, to me, like I said, I love the community, but we can't do anything when it's cold. Like just a couple of days ago, we were in Columbia Heights, freezing.
That was way too cold.
Yeah, it was cold.
But I appreciated every minute of it. But.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was wearing a sweater and some shorts, but still, it was cold. It was cold, but I feel like the biggest thing is being out there and mingling and socializing. That's always been my thing, and I feel like even though like I do get the opportunity to work on these amazing cars, and which I'm blessed for. I feel like there's just a different like feeling knowing that there's a car show and it's July. It's going to be good drinks. You're going to have a good time, good music, good people. I don't think you can really emulate that during winter, and I feel like that's kind of that's universal. The whole stage round. People, they just can't wait for summer, and I'm not any different. I can't wait until winter's done.
Outside of cars, what do you do for fun? So I know you got some tattoos. I've seen you pick up some bowling. I don't know if that's like a new thing or not, but I was like, and I saw in one of your stories you love Celsius drinks. You gave it like a shout out to like the year or something. Do that. So tell me a little bit about what you like to do outside of cars for fun.
Oh man, even like just people who work long hours. energy drinks, man, it's so easy to get addicted like that. But there are some days where I honestly I feel like I can't like work productively without it. You know, it's just, especially Celsius, because Celsius, like, it burns like cleaner. I've had Red Bulls, Monsters, C4s, Bangs. You know, those burn so like dirty. I always crash at like 2 or 3 p.m. I feel like one of the big resolutions for this year is kind of having to like cut back on it, getting more sleep, eating more properly.
He's just kidding, Celsius. He's not gonna cut back.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
That's kind of been my thing, but
Yeah. So yeah, like bowling, tats. I saw all those things. Like what you talked about? D and
D&D. Yeah.
D&D,
So I don't know. The winter is it's so quiet, it's so lonely, and I feel like I like to say like off-season hobbies. Yeah, I've been trying to pick up like different like hobbies. Lately, I've been big into bowling. You know, bought my own shoes, got 3 of my own balls.
That's
you know,
serious.
I have a bowling bat. Yeah,
You got ball. You got the shoes.
I got.
Actually, that's a good thing. That's the first thing I would get. Actually, I don't want to be wearing their shoes all day.
Yeah, shoes was probably the biggest game changer. There are like $35 shoes from Amazon, and there's the like brand name like Hammer, Storm, you know, shoes that you can change out like the different like paddings. They have like these shoelaces that you could push a dial, turn it, and then it tightens up the shoelaces.
The boas.
Yeah.
Do you know what's crazy now that you're describing this? Is like everybody's got their thing, right?
Yep.
They spend their money on. Like you're basically describing like your modifications on your bowling, like your bowling mods. But that's cool.
Yeah, and that's another thing too is I love guns, bowling, and that's, you know, if a lot of car guys, they say, you know, if it's not one expensive hobby, it's always another.
Yep.
It's always another.
Right.
And that's kind of where my thing is. Off season has been bowling. I picked up a new hobby playing D&D with my friends. I used to never be into D&D because I thought it was too nerdy until I played it. And I was like, holy shit, this is actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
You know, because
I'm not gonna lie. When you were telling me about it, and when I saw your post about it, I thought it was a nerdy thing too. But then I was like, wait. If he's doing it, then maybe I should look into this.
Because D&D, man, is so fun. You can create your own character. You're in this world that's basically limitless, according to the DM. But you know, you have free reign to create your own character, do your own thing, and it's a free open world environment with an overlooming story. But man, I guess the thing that I found so fun with it is the role playing.
Yeah.
You know, you get into a character, you play a character. I've always been big into like theater and like improv, you know, music, acting. So you know, a lot of people, they have troubles like getting into it or like getting into character. But you know, I find it so fun to, you know, enact another character and, you know, kind of bring this character to life with like facial expressions and, you know, voice, you know, tones and whatnot. But yeah,
Very cool.
I've been trying to pick up new hobbies, you know, trying to do new things, learn new things. I've been trying to learn.
Where do you go to learn new things? Like, that's what I was curious. Like, especially when it like comes to like cars. Like, are you a YouTube guys or YouTube channels that you follow? Is it forums or is it like, I don't know, people because you're surrounded by them all the time? I'm sure it's a mix of everything, but
yeah. So when I first got into cars or even just like anything, I'm YouTube certified, bro.
yeah.
YouTube was my
YouTube
biggest
University.
thing because man, the internet is such a vast ocean of knowledge, and I think a lot of people, when they like, especially automotive or anything in general, when they want to get into it, it just takes a simple Google search, you know. But I can understand the hesitation because there is just that much knowledge, you know. You don't know where to start. You know, a lot of people, they start because their friends are into cars or like their family's into cars, and that's how they get kind of like grandfathered in. But you know, YouTube has always been my thing, and you know, now that I'm a full-blown technician, we have databases that we can, you know, access, and we have resources. We have people who have been in the field for a long time. You know, we outsource for a lot of like CNC machining or like welding. You know, we don't have machines or resources to do so, but you know, the people that do, you know, we kind of give them the jobs because that's their expertise, you know. But
Yeah, that's one of the
that's kind of
in the consulting field where I'm in. We're all, if there's something that we can do, but somebody can do it better, and we have a partnership with them, it just
Why
makes
not?
everything better,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Makes everything better. It's faster.
Yep.
Turnaround time's easier.
Much more efficiency. Those triple constraints come into play again, and get your customer what you need. Yep. If you had to tell just one insane or unforgettable story from your time in the car scene, what would it be?
Unforgettable? Man, I think, man, and I hate to bring it up again, but I feel like the biggest thing was modest. But this was 24 now, so this is already 2-3 years of me, putting in my time, putting in my dues. I went up for a presentation for JWP, and I just remember thinking to myself, like, man, like everyone, they get like cold feet, they get nervous, they get anxiety, stage fright, which I had all of the above, but the minute I stepped onto the stage, Josh Hernandez from Drive Cartel gave me the microphone. Josh and Ian, they're like, and we have JWP here, go ahead, and they let me give my presentation, and we were giving out some store credit, some alignments, and doing some raffles. And the minute they gave me the microphone, I just remember the room went silent, and I can tell, like, just everyone just listened to me, and kind of intently just being active listeners. That was one of the most craziest things, because as an enthusiast, you almost feel like you don't have a voice, but when you're on that stage and you're talking to them, that was kind of the one thing. But the thing that really made it unforgettable was when I had finished the presentation, and I did my thing where I said, thank you for everybody who's continued to show their support, our love and support from you guys. That means the world to us. And I remember the whole crowd just blew up, claps, the audience just, round of applause. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, man, that was a moment that I thought to myself, like, holy crap, I made it. The recognition, the acknowledgement, all the hard work, blood, sweat, tears, 12 to 15 hours, on the winter nights, it all paid off, and that was probably one of the most unforgettable times that I could probably think of. But like all stories, there's always multiples, but if there was one that I could pick out, it'd probably be that one.
Where can people follow you and keep up on what you're doing?
So I have a lot of social media. I try to have a lot of social media presence. I'm one of the younger guys. John's a little bit of an old dog, so
yeah, I think I'm about the same age. So
he's a little bit of an old dog, so he tries to be a little more traditional, word of mouth, boots on the ground kind of deal. But I think social media is the future. I mean, if it hasn't already been known now, social media is the future. I try to be active on all social medias. You can find me on Instagram at The Real Tyler Chaw. Instagram, Tyler Chaw on Facebook. I try to use both those pretty actively. Facebook is more like the grown-ups, more people like that originated from MySpace, and then all the younger...
Why'd you point at me when I? You pointed right at me.
Hey, I was on MySpace too. I'm on 23, but I was on MySpace.
I was on there.
But yeah, I was thinking, man, JWP doesn't have a lot of social media presence now, so I don't know, maybe if you guys can give me some feedback what we could do, that could be good too. But find me on Instagram, Facebook, or if you want to do old school, find me at a local car meet. Most likely I will be there.
He's easy to find because he has the purple hair or some different color type of hair. You
can't miss it. Yeah.
And obviously this really cool car, which we're going to take a look at in a few minutes.
It's a little loud too. If you don't hear it, or if you don't see it, you'll definitely hear it first.
So tell me a little bit about your Infiniti.
So I actually didn't intend to buy this car to mod it out. I bought it as a kind of like a crutch car. originally I wanted an F80 M3, but you know, back then they were still going for 35 to 40 grand. As with this, I bought for 16 with 60,000 miles.
So you bought a twin turbo car
Yep.
for 16 grand.
For 16 grand.
Wow.
Yep. I bought it off of Carvana, clean title. There were some weird quirks, like the the blend door actuator was kind of messed up, and you know, I had to change some of those things.
I had this similar door actuator situation.
Yeah, like one side of the AC wouldn't be like cold, but the other side would be like ice cold, and you know, it would be very intermittent. So I had to change a few things. I had to flush the engine. You know, had to clean the injectors, do you know, coolant flushes, just all the stuff. You know, gaskets, plugs, all the things that you would do on a
All the consumables.
yeah, all the consumables. But you know, for the most part, this car is, you know, done me good. It's got almost close to 130K now, and you know, still running awesome. So yep. This car actually from this year is super notorious for having the turbo seals blowing out, and I can hear the sound, and it's actually going out now. So it's big turbo time, definitely. So
Turbo time.
yeah,
Turbo time with Tyler Chow.
yeah.
Very cool. Tell me about the wheels.
So these wheels actually I got from a trade. I got from one of my friends, David. He actually had a Z34 370Z, and so before these wheels, I had Nismo wheels, and any Nissan guy can vouch. Nismos are like the grails, like the holy grails. And I had bought them from this guy from Buffalo, and you know, hour and a half away. It was like midnight, and he had them listed for like $900. And I was like, man, like these are Nismo wheels, and yeah, sure they're curved, but you only want them for $800 and or $900. And he was like, yeah, you know, yeah, if you have cash, let me know. I'm kind of tired dealing with like all the riffraff asking me if I can buy the fronts or the rears or just, you know, two. And you're the first guy that would like buy all four of them cash. So I was like, you know, why not?
Yeah.
So
trade times.
at like 1 a.m, I drove all the way to Buffalo to go buy these wheels, and
That's not creepy at all. He must have trusted you.
yeah, I know. I was like, I mean, I knew if I didn't, yeah, if I didn't do it then and there, I knew I was gonna lose that. And all the Nissan guys, they know Nismos for 800, 900, dude.
Yeah.
That is a fucking
It's worth meeting somebody up at
Oh
1 in the
yeah,
morning.
dude, those things go for $3,000 now. So
Yeah,
I was like, holy
sure.
cow. But yeah, I had those wheels on my car for a while, and I guess a lot of people, they'll get mad at me because I got rid of them so easily. But man, it was one of those things where you put them on and you're just like, man, like that was it. You know, so like
The nostalgia or that feeling is just like, okay, I got them now.
yeah, I got them. Now what?
It's
you
not
know?
really changing my. But like you said people were like, why'd you get rid of them? But you know what?
Yeah.
Forget them. You got to get what you like.
Yeah, and you know, like I would say, like those wheels looked amazing on this car, but man, like I had to use stock lug nuts, I had to use spacers up front. I couldn't run, you know, wide tire sizes, so you know, it was just, you know, just at the end of the day, to me, just another grail wheel that people had, and you know, that was kind of just like a status wheel.
Sure.
So I texted David after seeing his wheels, which were these for sale, and he was like, "What do you want?" And I was like, "Well, you think you want to trade for these Nismos?" And I would admit, I think I kind of took a hit on it, but you know, for the price of you know, these are OG wheels. These are from September 15, 2005. So like.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that. I picked up a set of wheels from a friend, and they're from a G35.
Oh.
They're Rays. I didn't know how special they were, but wherever I go, somebody's like, yo, is that from this car or whatever? And I'm like, yeah, but I just got them for a good deal. Like, I didn't even know.
Oh yeah, dude. Dude, Infiniti always has a weird way, or just Nissan.
Yeah.
They have a weird way of pairing up with like some really cool wheel manufacturers, mainly Rays.
Yeah.
And they make some real cool like OEM style wheels. that go for like 3-piece money. I know there's a weird like unicorn set of wheels that came on the G35s. They're like double 5-spoke, but they're 19s, not 18s. The 18s are the less aggressive ones.
I'm getting goosebumps because I think I might have those.
Yeah, the 19s are like the one of the most rarest G35 wheels you can find. And if you have them in a,
I probably don't have them, but
if you have them in a,
I'm gonna show you a picture. If I have them,
you should.
Because honestly, I didn't like them.
Yeah, if you have them in a crazy spec, man, those are worth like $2,000 easy.
What?
Yeah,
I'm gonna show you.
yeah,
a picture.
15, $2,000.
All right, so this is what I currently got. Okay, Tyler, do I got the good ones, or just the regular ones?
I think you got the good ones.
Yeah, whatever, bro. Nah,
you got the good ones.
You lying, bro. Are those the ones you were talking about?
I think.
Zoom in. Let's see, folks. Did Rocky hit the lottery?
I think he did.
Yo.
I think he did.
Now I have to put them back on the car.
Damn, what?
This is kind of messed up because I was like, I didn't really like them. But yeah, they were 19s though.
Dude, that's...
Now I got to buy a whole new set of tires, Tyler.
Hey man, I know a guy that can do.
Oh, God.
This thing's full bolt-ons. Got the full down pipes. I have a Tomei Y with the single going all the way through. It is on RSRR Super Downs. Okay. So it is the lowest spring rate that you can get for this car. And honestly, I wouldn't want it any other way. I have DDS, so the suspension, like the modules, like it's kind of like the Lexus. I had to give lights for comfortability for the ride, and honestly, I didn't want to change that, so I just put it on springs. And to be honest, I mean, ride height is perfect. This thing is like, change the wheels, change the tires, and this thing is like, a lot of people, they ask me, they're like, man, like, are you on coilovers? Or there are actually people who think that I'm on bags, but I tell them that it's just springs. It's springs, and they feel super good. It's not too stiff. It feels like OEM like plus, and it's been a good car for me. It is rear-wheel drive, so it's not like the all-wheel, and that's the only reason why I would want it to be lowered this far, is because it's not all-wheel drive. All-wheel drive lowering, man, you tell any Q guy to lower their all-wheel drive car, and yeah, it's just all nightmares. And I think it's even the same thing with like the Lexus guys too. I know I have a customer that has axle issues.
I think everybody, I know who that is.
Yeah.
But I think that's what they all warn me. Like at some point, you're gonna need to do. I would have done the RSR downs too, but I need suspension.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, I'm not gonna use the stock stuff and get that. So
right. But yeah,
God, you just reminded me about the axle stuff now. I'm like, oh man.
Yep. So
okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, car's tuned by Racebox. I haven't actually thrown on a dyno yet. Funny enough, we have a dyno right here.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm waiting for Mr. Kyle Larkin, our tuner, to start setting up EcuTech, which we should start very soon here. We have a lot of interest within EcuTech, so we're going to have, I think, 22 people sign up. 22 people sign up. That's like last month. So 22 people already signed up last month, and so we're gonna have more people sign up for the EcuTech program. And once that happens, we're just gonna bang them out, and my car will be the first guinea pig, and kind of, hopefully everything turns out fine. Fingers crossed. So
when you're the guinea pig, does it mean it's free?
yeah. Thankfully, it is free.
It's got the hookup.
But all the things that could go wrong, that is gonna be on me.
Exactly.
So.
That's the reason why it's the guinea pig, right?
Yep. But I mean, this thing is treating me well. I drive this thing all year round. Not with these tires. I have a set of snow tires that I put on. But honestly, I feel like rear-wheel drive, like contrary to Park Relief, rear-wheel drive is not that bad in the snow.
If you disagree, comment below. But I agree with you.
Yes, let me know. Rear-wheel drive has always treated me so well, and as long as you get proper, ground clearance. Ground clearance is a big thing. That's why I got oversized tires. So I got 45 sidewall tires. on my snow tires, as opposed to these are 30. So if I was this slow, I would probably be snow plowing, you know, the whole way. But yeah, snow tire, get good snow tires, good ground clearance, and you know, that's that. Treats you good, and you know, it's comfortable. You know, this car is honestly, like I said before, like I kind of had low expectations. This was kind of a car to kind of get me by. But man, as I started getting into the platform, I was just like, this is a good ass platform.
Yeah, they make good power too.
Yeah,
I know my car doesn't, you know, it's like you can't really make too much on it, but on these you can.
Yeah,
definitely.
I would say they're definitely, a lot of people, they have a misconception about this engine, which is the VR30, that VR30 isn't as tunable as, say, like the other 6-cylinder twin turbos. I won't name any names, but
it's not trying to start anything.
Yeah, but you know, these are a heavy contender, you know.
Cool.
But I do think it does cost a little more money to make them go faster. But yeah, this is like a little brother to the GTR engine. So I understand the overhaul. You know, the amount of money that it takes to go fast. You know, these weren't intended to go fast anyway. So you know, upgraded high pressure fuel pumps, low pressure fuel pumps, all the lines that you need, injectors, intercoolers, you know, charge pipes, everything, you know. This is a water-cooled engine as opposed to an air-cooled, so you have to do all the cooling stuff first before you start doing anything fast, you know. Which I have the auxiliary tank in my fender well, and then I have the intercooler, both AMS, and then I need a water pump and high pressure fuel pump and a bunch of other things that cost way too much. So big rabbit hole. So I don't know. I think where I'm at right now, I'm comfortable with, and you know, it's comfortable. It treats me good. I can carry 4 or 5 people in the car with me, and you know, still go places. So
nice.
That's kind of the one thing for me is, you know, originally I intended to buy a CRV just for a daily car, but I don't know.
He's like, nah, I'm going with this.
Yeah,
I think it was the right choice
all year round.
All right, man.
But yeah.
Well, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me. Seriously.
Yeah, for sure, bro. For sure.